والسلام على من لا نبي بعد نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن اقتفى أثره واستنى بسنته إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. فإنشاءالlah we'll continue with reading today from the موسوعة التفسير المأثور, that encyclopedia of transmitted tafsir, and we are in the section where the compilers gathered that which escaped them the first time. So as we mentioned last time, this book, the people who gathered it, they gathered it from over 1,000 different sources. They had 1,000 different sources from which they extracted the tafsir from. And as is the action of any human being, there is bound to be some error or deficiency or mistake. And from that which occurred for them is that they missed certain things. And the things that they missed compared to what they presented is like the drop in a bucket. So it's not a criticism of them that they missed some things, but instead it's a natural result of any human action. But for the لتعميم الفائدة, so that the benefit could be all inclusive, you found them going up behind themselves and catching everything that escaped them the first time. وَلِذَلِكَ, for that reason, this section of the tafsir is known as المستدرك, or that which was captured from what escaped them the first time regarding the tafsir. And we said at the end of every surah, we'll go over this 25th volume of theirs, in which it includes whatever escaped them regarding that surah. And so we have in front of us today from the statement, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, the compilers, they said, and Ja'far ibn Muhammad and Abihi and Jabir ibn Abdullah radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma anna Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam qala kayfa taqulu idha qumta ila as-salat qala aqulu alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen qala qul bismillahir rahmanir rahim. So this first narration, it emphasizes or it supports that statement that is adopted by some scholars, numerous scholars. From them was the view of Abu Hurairah and other than them, where the statement Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim is an ayah of Surah Al-Fatiha. It is an ayah of Surah Al-Fatiha. The compilers, they say, on the authority of Ja'far ibn Muhammad, on the authority of his father, on the authority of Jabir ibn Abdullah radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma, that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, how or what do you say? Kayfa taqul? Yani, how do you say, i.e., what do you say when you stood to pray? What is the first thing that you say when you pray? What is the statement you make when you're making salah? Jabir radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, he says, I said to the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam in response, Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. What I say when I'm making salat is Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. To which the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam responded, Qul bismillahir rahmanir rahim. I say Bismillah ar-Rahman or Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I make sure that you say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I.e., showing that this is one of its ayah. Now, in the footnotes, from the things that should be noted, though, and this is something that we said is important to do, they mention that this hadith is mawdu'. This hadith is fabricated. This hadith is fabricated. In the footnotes, it says, أخرجه الدارقطني والبيهقي في شعب الإيمان والثعلبي وقال محققه إسناده موضوع. That this narration was reported by ad-Daraqutni in his Sunan, as well as al-Bayhaqi in Shu'ab al-Iman, as well as al-Tha'labi, i.e. in his tafsir, and the one who verified the muhaqqiq of the tafsir of al-Tha'labi, he said that the chain of this hadith is fabricated. So obviously that requires some looking into, but according to the muhaqqiq of tafsir al-Tha'labi, this chain is fabricated. And so that should be taken for what it is. They say, عن عبد الله بن مسعود عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال أول ما علمني جبريل alayhi salam, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. On the authority of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, on the authority of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is that he said the first thing that Jibril taught me is the statement Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Right? And thus the statement Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim would be Quran. The statement Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, if this is verified and accurate, the statement Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim would be Quran, because it's the speech of Allah sent down by way of the angel, sent down with the angel Jibril to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the Arabic language, mutawatir in its chain, yani mu'jaz in its wordage. It's undeniable in its chain. It is miraculous in its wordage. It's worshipped by its recitation. It's began with Fatiha, and it's you find it in the Quran between Surah Al-Fatiha and Surah Al-Nas in the Mus'haf, and this is the definition of the Quran. And so if this narration were valid, then it would be proof that the Basmala is an ayah, it's the speech of Allah, and then the ikhtilaf could still exist, whether it is an ayah of Fatiha, an ayah of every surah, an ayah independently of any surah, etc. Now, they say, أن ابن عباس رضي الله تعالى عنه أو رضي الله تعالى عنهما من طريق السدي عن الكلبي عن أبي صالح رحمه الله في تفسير الله قال لأن الخلق يألهون إليه في الحوائج. He says that on the authority of Ibn Abbas رضي الله تعالى عنهما, from the pathway of a Suddi, on the authority of Al-Kalbi, on the authority of Abi Salih, yani that Ibn Abbas رضي الله تعالى عنه, he said that the word Allah, the explanation of it, i.e. he is called Allah, لأن الخلق يألهون إليه في الحوائج. He said he is called Allah because all of the creation يألهون, ألها. So he is saying the word here, ألها, يأله, ألها, all of the creation يألهون إليه. And the word ألها, he says that all of the creation يألهون إليه في الحوائج. All of the creation, they turn to him, or they are dependent upon him for their needs. The word alaha, linguistically, I'm bringing it up for you now, from Lisan al-Arab. Alaha, Sad, Fa, Qaf, Noon, Ya, before that, Owaha, Alaha. The word Alaha ibn Manzur, he says, Alaha al-ilah Allah azza wa jal wa kulla ma ittakhadha min dunihi ma'budun ilahun indahu muttakhidun wal jam'u ilaha wa aliha al-asnam. Wa idha waqa'a al-abdu fi aluhin al-haniyat al-rabb wal-alhaniyya wa azamatillahi wa jalla ilah wa ghayri dhalik la ilah سأله عن الاشتقاق سأله العرب المرأة أله الهمزة أصل أليها فحركه للتعريف ساكن ثم لما سمعوا قال أبو الهيثم الهمزة. Here he's talking about one of the things that they talk about as it relates to the word Allah, the name of Allah, Allah, is that, is it derived from another name or from another word? Is it mushtaq or is it jamid? Does it come from another word, like the word, for example, as-sami' or al-alim, how they are derived, their meanings are derived from other words? Or is it jamid, where it itself is a word that doesn't have any correlation or any connection to another word? And then they said those who say that it does have a connection to the word el-ilah, what they often mention is that the first hamza in el-ilah is dropped off and the lam is entered into the lam, and thus it becomes Allah. And you can argue that because the name El Ilah is also one of Allah's names. So if it was that they had said El Ilah in such abundance that it became Allah, then you would say, well, does that other name El Ilah still exist? And also, that would lead to them saying that it wasn't Allah until the people said it the way that they said it, or that they happened to say it and then Allah acknowledged to them that it was one of his names from before. And so there is some argument to be made that the name Allah is a lafdun jamid, ismun jamid. It is a word that isn't derived from other names. But here he says, وَأَصْلُ إِلَهُ وِلَهُ فَقُبِلَتِ الْوَاوْ هَمْزَةً كَمَا قَالَ لِلْوِشَاحِ وَمَعْنَاهُ وِلَا أَنَّ الْخَلْقِ يُولَهُونَ إِلَيْهِ فِي حَوَائِجِهِمْ وَيَضْرَعُونَ إِلَيْهِ فِيمَا يُصِيبَهُمْ وَيَفْزَعُونَ إِلَيْهِ في كل ما ينوبهم كما يوله كل طفل إلى أمه. So the origin of this word, and this is Ibn Abbas stating in his Tafsir a statement similar, that the origin of this word is walaha, right? To be in extreme need, to be desiring, to be, and you say, wali, the individual is, walaha, I'm trying to think of how to translate it, walaha, right, to need to go into a strong need for something else, right? So Ibn Abbas is saying that the reason, the meaning of the word Allah is because all of the creation يَأْلَهُونَ إِلَيْهِ فِي الْحَوَائِجِ, they all show their extreme need for him as it relates to their affairs and their needs. يَفْزَعُونَ إِلَيْهِ يَلَهُونَ إِلَيْهِ, right? All of them turn to him and show their extreme need to him, and they run to him and flee to him in all of their affairs, the same way a child might flee to its mother, right? The same way a child might flee to its mother if something happens to it. And so they say that this is the meaning of Al-Ilah, or Allah. This is the meaning of Allah, right? To Allah is the highest example, but the way that a child retreats and flees to its mother anytime something bad happens to it, then this is from the meaning of what is embodied in the name of Allah, that you should retreat to him and flee to him and return to him with extreme need and desire anytime something happens. And like this, we see in this statement, A'udhu billah, right? I seek refuge with Allah. He is the one who is retreated to. وَلَا مَلْجَأَ وَلَا مَنْجَ مِنْكَ إِلَّا إِلَيْكَ. And there's no safety and no refuge from you except with you. And so this is what Ibn Abbas is saying, that the tafsir of the name Allah is because all of the creation, يَأْلَهُونَ إِلَيْهِ فِي الْحَوَائِجِ, all of the creation, they turn to him and they run to him and they flee to him and they are dependent on him with strong need and desire as it relates to all of their needs and affairs. They say, أن ابن عباس رضي الله تعالى عنهما من طريق الضحاك أنه قال في قوله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يوحد نفسه لأنه المعبود بالحقيقة ولا معبود سواه بالحقيقة من جميع البشر الجن والإنس وهو معنى قول الضحاك. Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhuma, he says as is reported from the pathway of al-Dhahak on him, that he said, as it relates to the statement Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, he says Allah is establishing the tawheed of himself, right? He is singling himself out. Allah yuwahidu nafsa. Allah is singling himself out, i.e. with these qualities. The quality of Allah and Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. Allah is singling himself out with these qualities because there is nothing else that is worshipped that is deserving. There is nothing else that is worshipped that is deserving. لأنه المعبود بالحقيقة, because he is the one that is worshipped deservedly. He is the one that is worshipped deservedly. ولا معبود سواه بالحقيقة, and there is nothing else that is worshipped besides him that deserves it. From all of humanity, or from all of mankind, as well as the jinn or humans, right? From every thing that exists, whether it be bashar, any humanity, or jinn, or mankind, jinn, or humans. Nothing else is deserving of worship. And then it says, and this is the meaning of the statement of Ad-Dhahhak. Yani Ad-Dhahhak said a similar statement. So that is what they added as it related to the statement Bismillah. And obviously there's a benefit in that which Ibn Abbas mentioned from the Tafsir of يَأْلَهُونَ إِلَيْهِ الْخَلْقِ فِي الْهَوَائِجِ, that all of the creation returns to him in their affairs, and they show their need and their desire of him to dispose of their affairs and their needs. Likewise, the issue of, is the Basmala an ayah? Was it taught by Jibreel to the Prophet ﷺ, thus making it Quran? Or is it an ayat of Fatiha specifically, or an independent ayat, or not an ayat at all? But that which is probably the stronger opinion is that it is an ayat of Surah Al-Fatiha, or that which is a valid opinion is that it's an ayat of Fatiha, and it is a ayat independently, a transition between surah, The next thing they comment on from that which escaped them is the statement Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Allah is Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. They say, An Mujahid min tariqi Mansur, قال الرحمن بأهل الدنيا والرحيم بأهل الآخرة. They say on the authority of Mujahid from the pathway of Mansur, the Ar-Rahman is the one with the people of the dunya, and Ar-Rahim is with the people of the Akhirah. And this is a popular tafsir. This is a tafsir that most people, you find them defaulting to when they explain the difference between Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim, is that he is Rahman al-Dunya wa Rahim al-Akhirah. That he is the Rahman with the people of the dunya, and he is Rahim with the people of the Akhirah. And we mentioned the connection between this tafsir and the tafsir of those that say the meanings of the words for what they are. Ar-Rahman, yani being a sifatun dhatiyah, a quality of who Allah is, and that he is full of mercy, and Ar-Rahim being a sifatun fi'liyah, a quality of what Allah does, and that he shows mercy, and how since the people of the dunya are those who are shown mercy, in every all types of people of the dunya are showed mercy, the Muslim, the Kafir, the righteous, the Fajr, then like this they would call him Rahman ad-Dunya, because the greatness of his mercy is that which he shows mercy upon everybody in the dunya. While in the hereafter, the only ones who receive his mercy are those who have iman, and so it's as if he was Rahim al-Akhirah, because the only mercy that will benefit the recipient is that mercy that enters them into paradise, and this is the mercy that he shows the believers in the hereafter. But the reality of it is that Allah is Rahman ad-Dunya wal-Akhirah. He is Ar-Rahman in this life as well as in the next. He is always full of mercy, and he is Rahim in this dunya as well as the next. Right? In the next life, he is Rahim just as he is Rahim in this dunya. He is Rahim to everyone. He shows everyone mercy. And so like this, this tafsir of Mujahid is one that is popular, but there's a way that they arrive at it and explain what they mean by this. But the reality is that Allah is Rahman in both the dunya and the akhirah, and he is Rahim in both the dunya and the akhirah. They say, قال الضحاك الرحمن بأهل السماء حتى أسكنهم السماوات وطوقهم الطاعات وجنبهم الآفات وقطع عنهم المطاعم واللذات والرحيم بأهل الأرض حين أرسل إليهم الرسل وأنزل عليهم الكتب وأعذر إليهم في النصيحة وصرف عنهم البلايا. الضحاك, he said, Ar-Rahman is Ar-Rahman with the dwellers or the inhabitants of the skies. The inhabitants of the skies. And we've talked about those who inhabit the skies, and that the sky is not that which we see above us, but it's that area that Allah has created, that unseen area by us. It's an affair al-ghaybi, it's an affair or a matter of the unseen, in which there dwells from his creation that which Allah wishes, from malaika and other than them. And so Al-Dhahak is saying that Ar-Rahman is Ar-Rahman with the inhabitants of the sky, and the fact that he allowed them to take the skies as residence. This is where he placed them to be residents. And he tawakahum, yani he placed upon them his obedience, right? He made them, he compelled them to his obedience, and he kept them removed from any deficiencies and faults. And he removed from them or took away from them. He cut off from them the need of food and enjoyment, or the need of food and enjoyment. And so he is Ar-Rahman with the inhabitants of the skies in this way. And he is Ar-Rahim with the people of the earth, for him sending them messengers, and for him revealing to them books, sending down upon them books, and excusing himself with them by giving them sincere advice, and misdirecting away from them, or directing away from them all types of trial and tribulation. And so this is examples of how he is Rahim with the people of the dunya. And so you can see where this tafsir, with the statement is Rahman with the people of the sky, because the mercy that he has given them is a mercy that goes to glorify and praise him. It is a mercy that praises and extols and glorifies who he is. The mercy that he has given them is a mercy that manifests his greatness. They worship him. He allowed them to stay in the skies. He kept them free of fault. He cut off their needs from food and drink. So everything that they do is a worship of him. And so this mercy is a mercy. We don't say that it benefits Allah, but it is a mercy that reflects back the greatness of Allah. The mercy that he has given them is a mercy that magnifies his greatness, while the mercy that he gives the people of the earth is a mercy that benefits them. It's a mercy that is for their betterment and for their improvement, by sending them messengers and revealing upon them books, and excusing himself with them by giving sincere advice and directing away from them any harms or tribulations. And so it's as if Ar-Rahman is Ar-Rahman because the mercy that he shows them goes back to glorifying who he is. And Ar-Rahim, it's as if he's giving them mercy because the mercy that he gives them benefits them. And they are the recipients and the ones who, they receive the blessing of such mercy. And so this is what he's going for here, saying that, giving these examples, that Ar-Rahman is with the people of the sky. And this Rahmah that he shows them, it just goes back and reflects back how merciful he is, right? Because everything they do glorifies him. While Ar-Rahim, the examples that he gives, it reflects and shows how much mercy he has shown the people of the earth, the recipients of that, because of how the mercy benefits them personally. Yes, it goes back and reflects how great Allah is as well, but it's something that they are the beneficiaries thereof. Now, he says, قال إكرمة الرحمن برحمة واحدة والرحيم بمئة رحمة. He says that Ikrimah says, Ar-Rahman is with one mercy, and Ar-Rahim is with 100 mercies. And what is going here is that showing that Rahim is more extensive in its reach to the recipient of mercy. Ar-Rahman is just who he is. It's one mercy. It's who Allah is. It's his quality. You can't break up his qualities and make it like, for example, one of the evidences we use against the people of innovation when it comes to their interpreting the hand of Allah to be his power is that Allah says, Lima khalaqtu biyaday, what I've created with my two hands. And Allah's power is not divisible. It is his power. So the quality is indivisible. And as far as the applications of his power, how he manifests and shows off his power, then this can be numerous. But his power is one. And so perhaps this is the meaning of Ikrimah, where he's saying Ar-Rahman is with one mercy. Yani who Allah is, his quality is one thing. It's not divisible to where you say he is Rahman and you can break it up, this mercy, that mercy. No, it's just one quality. The quality that Allah is described with is one thing, because that is who Allah is. And as far as Ar-Rahim, then it is with 100 mercies, meaning what Allah does, he can do it this time, that time, this time, that time, and it can be in abundance. And this is a refutation against the people who deny Allah's qualities by saying that if he had qualities, it would require for him to do new things. And anything that does new things is new. And since Allah is old, he cannot do new things. And we say, no, Allah can do new things. And what we mean by doing new things is that he can do something that he was not doing previously. And this is an important belief for Ahl Sunnah, that the qualities of Allah, from them are sifatun dhatiyya, qualities of who Allah is. Yani lan yanfak. They have not ceased to be, or he has not ceased to be described with them. He has always had those qualities, and he is constantly described with them. He is constantly doing them, like being alive, like being the all-hearer. These are qualities of who Allah is. And then you have sifatun fi'liya, qualities that Allah does. And these qualities are connected to the mashi'ah of Allah, the will of Allah. He does them when he wants, how much he wants, with whom he wants, like this. They're connected to his will. However he wants to do them, he does them. And so, for example, a quality like rahmah is similar in nature to a quality, or to the quality of speech. How Allah is described with speech as an everlasting quality, as a sifatun dhatiyya, a quality of who Allah is. And so he is always described with the ability of speech, and the quality of speech is one that is not removable from him. And likewise, mercy. He's always described with mercy, and the quality of mercy is not removable from him. Just as the quality of speech is something that he does it when he wants. So he said Qul before he said Huwa, before he said Allah, before he said Al-Ahad. And he said the Quran after he said the Torah and the Injil. He said them when he wanted. He said what he wanted. So he said the Quran in Arabic, and he said the Torah in Hebrew. He said it to whom he wanted, and like this. And so, just like the kalam is a quality of self as well as a quality of action, then likewise, Ikrimah, and Allah knows best, is saying that rahmah is a quality of self. And this is the quality that is related to Ar-Rahman. And just as it is a quality of mercy, a quality of action, and this is how it relates to Ar-Rahim. So the Rahman is one mercy, and the Rahim is 100 mercies, i.e. not limiting it, but signifying that it is something that he can do it as he wishes, and he can do it a moment and not do it another moment with whom he wills. So he can show this person mercy, and he cannot show that person mercy. And so this shows that it is a quality that he has the ability to do it when and how he wants, and thus it is one that is connected to his will. And like this, it can be repetitive, and it can be abundant, and it can be done after not having been done. And perhaps the statement of Ikrimah is referring to this quality. They say, قال مطر الوراق الرحمن بغفران السيئات وإن كن عظيمات والرحيم بقبول الطاعات وإن كن غير صافيات. Allahu Akbar. And here we see the Salaf, they're just giving examples in like their tafsir. This is like tafsir at-tanawwur. Varied tafsir, all saying similar things. But Matar al-Warraq, he says he is Ar-Rahman by his forgiving of sins. Right? The greatness of his mercy is that he forgives sins. And this is a quality that shows the greatness of how extreme his mercy is, that he forgives sins, even if they are major, even if they are significant, even if they are great, he still forgives them. And this is a quality that Matar is saying is representative of the fact that Allah is Ar-Rahman. He is the one who is described as being full of mercy. So it does not matter how great the sin is, Allah will forgive it, i.e. if you ask. Allah will forgive it no matter how great it is, i.e. if you ask. And as far as Ar-Rahim, he says he is Ar-Rahim. How does he show this mercy? By accepting acts of worship, even if they are not pure, right? Even if they have some tarnish, some deficiency, some blemish, i.e. lesser than shirk. Because who of us worships Allah? كَأَنَّنَا نَرَى, as if we see him. And even if we don't see him, then indeed he sees us. This is a quality that we strive for. But how often in our salat are we distracted? How often in our sadaqah are we tainted? How often in our fasting is there a shob or a blemish? And so from the quality of Ar-Rahim, how he shows us his mercy is that he accepts our acts of obedience, even if they were not unblemished, even if there was some blemish in them. And the showing of the mercy is the quality Ar-Rahim. And how does Allah show us his mercy? By accepting these acts of obedience and thus giving us paradise. And so he shows us his mercy by giving us the paradise in exchange for our actions, even though our actions aren't by themselves that which entitle us to paradise. So it's not because of our actions that we enter paradise, but it's because of the mercy of Allah. And that mercy is what he's showing us, accepting our actions and giving us paradise, even though those actions were blemished and tarnished. And from the greatness of who he is, Ar-Rahman, is that he forgives our sins, even if they were major. And so this is a beautiful tafsir. Like, this is something that the slave should be competent of. Ar-Rahman bi ghufran as-sayyi'at wa in kunna 'azimat. Ar-Rahman, because of how he forgives sins, even if they're major. War-Rahim bi qubul at-ta'at wa in kunna ghayru safiyat. And Ar-Rahim by accepting our acts of worship, even if they were not pure or they were not unblemished. They say, and Ja'far ibn Muhammad as-Sadiq, Ar-Rahman ismun khas bi sifatin 'am, War-Rahim ismun 'am bi sifatin khas. That is another example of, right, the depth of the understanding of the Salaf. Right? All of these statements that we're reading are just showing you how deep the Salaf understood these things. And if we understand these things, then hopefully it will lead to us having acts of worship and visualizing and recognizing Allah for who he is, the way that they did. Ja'far ibn Muhammad as-Sadiq, right? Ja'far as-Sadiq. He said, Ar-Rahman is a specific name for a general quality. The name Ar-Rahman is specific for Allah. Nobody else can have it. It is a specific name of his. It is exclusive. It is an exclusive name of his with a general quality to be full of mercy, meaning this quality of his is all-encompassing. There is not any creature or any creation except that it experiences from his mercy, because this quality that is embodied in the name Ar-Rahman is general in its reach and its effect. It encompasses all. And so the name is exclusive for Allah, and the quality is general. It's a quality that encompasses all. So an exclusive name with a general quality. I.e., and the quality is general because of how exclusive the name is. Right? The fact that only Allah does this is the reason why that quality is so general. It encompasses all. Nobody else can have a mercy that way. And so the exclusivity of the name reflects in the generality of the quality. Nobody else can show mercy to everything, and therefore nobody else deserves the name Ar-Rahman. While the name Ar-Rahim is a general name, the name Ar-Rahim is a name that can be applied to others. The name Ar-Rahim is a name that can be applied to others. وَبِالْمُؤْمِنِينَ رَؤُوفٌ رَحِيمٌ. The Prophet was described as being Rahim, right? You can have a friend named Rahim, right? This is a quality. This is a name that is general. Others can have this name. But the quality that this name embodies is exclusive. And this can be taken as one of two ways. i.e. the quality in the name Ar-Rahim is exclusive for Allah, and therefore nobody shows mercy the way he shows mercy. And so the exclusivity of the quality is that it is unique for Allah. Or you could take it another way and say that the quality is exclusive, i.e. the recipients of the quality are exclusive. Like we mentioned, the people of the Akhirah, the believers, or the inhabitants of the earth. Like this, the quality, the recipients of the quality are exclusive. And so Ar-Rahman is an exclusive name with a general, all-encompassing quality, while Ar-Rahim is a general name. It's a name that can be applied to others. But the quality that it represents as it relates to Allah is exclusive. Nobody else has the quality in the name Ar-Rahim that Allah has, just as the recipients of the name Rahim are exclusive. Those who receive the mercy from Allah in reality are exclusive. Either one of those ways could be the understanding of what Ja'far ibn Muhammad as-Sadiq is referring to. They say, and Ja'far ibn Muhammad أنه سئل عن بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قال الباء بهاء الله والسين سناؤه والميم مجده والله إله كل شيء الرحمن بجميع خلقه الرحيم خاصة بالمؤمنين. This explanation gives a little bit more clarity, and we see a similarity between the statement of Ja'far and what was attributed to Isa ibn Maryam earlier in the tafsir of Bismillah. They say that Ja'far ibn Muhammad was asked about the meaning of Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. He says the ba in it means the baha of Allah, the brilliance or the glory of Allah. And the seen is his sana, the brilliance of Allah. And the meme is his majd, the vastness of his qualities. And we've talked about before how this letter by letter tafsir of the word bism is not necessarily true, right? It's not the ba in this word means that, and the seen in this word means that, and the meme in this word means that, because these are words, and these words have a meaning altogether. But what it is like a tafsir of inference meant to drive home a point. Tafsirun ishari, right? It doesn't mean that he believes that the ba actually means the baha of Allah, or the seen actually means the sana of Allah, or the meme actually means the majd of Allah. But it's meant to make you understand that this statement, from the qualities that it's trying to instill, or the recognition that it's trying to instill in you and make you conscious of, is the glory, the brilliance, and the vastness of Allah's qualities. He says, and Allah is ilahu kulli shay. And this is true. This is the meaning of Allah, that which is worshipped by everything, or that which is deserving of the worship of everything, right? And they're different in their meaning. When we say that which is worshipped by everything, we mean worship, whether willingly or unwillingly. And it doesn't mean that everything sets out to worship Allah, because the idol worshipers are not setting out to worship Allah. Those who worship other than Allah aren't setting out to worship Allah, right? But unwillingly, they worship Allah, whether they like it or not. The fact that they breathe, the fact that their hearts beat, the fact that their eyes blink, this is their worship of Allah unwillingly. There's no in the skies and the earth except that they come to Ar-Rahman as a slave, as a worshiper. So everything worships Allah unwillingly. They are compelled to do it. And then the slave of Allah, the worshiper of Allah, is the one who does it willingly. And so you can say that Allah is the one that everyone worships, i.e. willingly or unwillingly, they worship him, either by choice or by force. Or you can say Allah is the one that everything is the one that is deserving of the worship of everything. I.e. Allah is the one who deserves that everything worship him willingly, because nothing else deserves to be worshipped besides him. So this statement, Allah is that which is worshipped by everything, it could mean Allah is the one who is actually worshipped by everything, whether willingly or unwillingly. Or Allah is the one who deserves to be worshipped by everything. The statement can be taken both ways. Likewise, he says, Ar-Rahman bi jami'i khalqihi. Ar-Rahman is for all of his creation. That goes back to what he mentioned in the last statement, a specific and exclusive name with a general meaning. And Ar-Rahim is specific for those that have Iman. And so this goes back to what he mentioned last time. It's a general name with a specific meaning, i.e., Ar-Rahim is exclusively for those that have Iman. So this is what they mention. They go on to say regarding the statement Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, قال ابن المبارك الرحمن الذي إذا سئل أعطى والرحيم إذا لم يسأل غضب. Subhanallah. Abdullah ibn Mubarak, he said that Ar-Rahman is the one who, if he is asked, he gives. Ar-Rahman is the one from the greatness of his mercy. If you ask him, he gives. And Ar-Rahim is the one who, if he is not asked, he gets angry. From the greatness and the extensiveness of how much he wants to give mercy, if you don't ask him, he gets angry at you. And so Ar-Rahman is a quality that is great in the fact that Allah gives you what you ask for. But Ar-Rahim is a quality that shows you the greatness and the extent of how much Allah wants to give. Because if you don't ask him, he gets angry. And nobody gets angry with you not asking them except the one that wants to give. And so we see that Ar-Rahman is a quality of the greatness of who Allah is. And Ar-Rahim is a quality of the greatness of what Allah does and what he wants to do. He wants to show mercy. And thus, if you don't ask him, he gets angry. They say, Al-Athar al-Muta'alliqatu bil-Ayah, some of the narrations that are attached to this ayah, Ar-Rahman, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, they say, عن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال كان إذا أما الناس جهر ببسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Right, here's another ayat that drives home the point that the Basmala is an ayat from Surah Al-Fatiha on the authority of Abi Hurairah that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he would lead the people, i.e. in Salat, he would say aloud, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Right, but you can tell that this is shadh because there are other authentic narrations that affirm that they didn't hear the Prophet reciting the Basmala. Doesn't mean he didn't do it. It just means that they didn't hear him. But there is the statement of, what is it, Salama or Maymuna, that the Prophet, he would extend, he would do med, like in the statement, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, right? As far as this, the validity of this narration, they mention أخرجه الحيري في الكفاية في التفسير وأخرجه الدارقطني وابن عدي في الكامل والبيهقي قال ابن حجر وهذا قد أخرجه الدارقطني وابن عدي من هذا الوجه فقال قرأ بدل جهر وهو المحفوظ عن أبي أويس على أن أبا أويس ليس بحجة إذا انفرد فكيف إذا خالف. Right. He says that this hadith was reported by Al-Hayri in his book, The Sufficiency in Tafsir, Al-Kifayatu fi Tafsir. Likewise, Ad-Daraqutni. Likewise, Ibn Adi in his book, Al-Kamil fi Du'afa. Likewise, Al-Bayhaqi, in the Sunan Al-Kubra. And Ibn Hajr said about this narration that this was reported by Ad-Daraqutni as well as Ibn Adi. And both of them reported it from this chain. And they said, instead of the word he would say out loud, jahara, they said the word he would recite, qara'a, right? And qara'a, right? You could say that it doesn't mean that he will recite loudly. He will recite softly, perhaps, which is the argument of some of them. They say that it's not that the Prophet didn't say the Basmala, because we know he said the Basmala, but he would, yani yukhfihi wa yasirru bi. He would hide it and conceal it. But this version of the narration that they brought affirmed that he would say it aloud. But Ibn Hajr says that in the narration that was brought by Daraqutni Ibn Adi, they both say that he said he would recite instead of he would say out loud. And this is the more accurate statement of Abi Uwais, one of the narrators in the hadith. Abu Uwais is the one who transmitted this hadith, circles around him. This is what is preserved from his statements. The other versions of him saying to say out loud is not mahfud. Instead, it is shadh, or even better than that, munkar. It's something that is weak. He says that, and this is the case in spite of the fact that Abu Uwais by himself is not an argument, it's not an evidence, and that which he is alone in reporting. So this individual, Abu Uwais, who there is disagreement, did he say qara'a or jahara? He himself is not a valid evidence as it relates to what he narrates if there's nobody else narrating it along with him. So how about if he is contradicting others? Like we mentioned that there are authentic narrations that they didn't hear the Prophet ﷺ recite the Basmala. So this Abu Uwais, because of his deficiency in narration and his contradiction of those who are more authentic, we would say that this hadith is munkar. This hadith is one that is disapproved of, because that's the definition of munkar. Mukhalifatul da'if liman huwa awthaqa min. The disagreeing of one who is weak in his narration with one who is more reliable than him. This is the definition of a hadith that is munkar. Now, so we'll stop at this amount. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. We still have رب العالمين مالك يوم الدين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم and المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Inshallah, we'll take that next time and finish off that which is caught from what escaped them the first time in their compiling of this surah or the tafsir of this surah. Subhanak Allahumma wa bihamdik ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Does Allah ever change the qadr besides from our dua? Our qadr is written as far as I know, but does he ever change it? Allahu yuthbit wa yamha wa lahu ummul kitab. The changes that occur in the qadr, occur within the qadr. So the things that Allah changes from what he decrees are things that he has decreed as well. So he decreed that it would be this way, and then he decreed that it would be changed to this because of whatever reason he changed it from, whether it was dua, whether it was a sin, or should I say an affliction that a slave had patience in it, and thus Allah raised his level in paradise, right? We know that an individual, when Allah might test them with an affliction because their actions aren't enough to get them to the level that has been decreed for them in paradise, whether it be to the opposite. A person will have a place in paradise. Inna ahadakum la ya'malu bi amali ahli al-jannah hatta la yakunu baynahu wa baynaha illa dhira'. Indeed, one of you will work with the actions of the people of paradise until there is nothing between him and it except a cubit. And then what was written on him in the book will proceed. And so when they talk about the person in the grave, they will be shown what their place would have been in Jannah. This would have been your place. But you decided the actions that you chose, and so you get this place instead. In any circumstance, that which Allah changes is also part of the qadr. So when you say, does the qadr change? If you mean by the qadr, does Allah's decrees change? Then no. What Allah decrees does not change in the aspect that it is all part of the qadr, and nothing happens without his authority. But if you mean, does Allah decree something and then decree something else that in turn leads to him decreeing a third thing, then yes, he does this. Allah decrees that you would have been afflicted with this tribulation if you didn't make dua. And then he decrees that you make dua. And then he decrees because that you make dua, you won't be afflicted with this situation. Then yes, but all of that is part of the qadr. So it does not get outside of the qadr. And so you need to, when you say, does the qadr change? What do you mean by it? Do you mean, does something happen that is outside of the will of Allah, and something has the ability to escape that which Allah has decreed and do it in a way other than Allah has demanded? Then no, nothing, the qadr does not change. As Allah said to the Prophet ﷺ in the hadith of Isra and Mi'raj, right? That is the ruling, and the ruling with me does not change. The salat was 50, and then Allah reduced it to 5. The qadr was that it was 50. Allah legislated 50. And he also legislated it as 5. And the 5 is not different than the 50, i.e. the reward of it stays the same, and the rules of Allah do not change. The rulings of Allah, the qadr of Allah, the determination of Allah, the predestination of Allah does not change. Kullu dhalika fi kitab. All of that is in a book. That being the case, from the things that are in the book is what would have been the situation and what happened and what the situation is now because of what happened that would have been different if that didn't happen. And all of that is with the determination of Allah. And this is why the iman and the maratib of al-qadr are important. That Allah knew everything. Inna Allahu ya'lamu ma kana wa ma yakunu wa ma lam yakun law kana kayfa yakun. Allah knows what was and what is and what will be and what wasn't, if it would have been, how it would have been. So that knowledge of Allah shows us that he knew everything in all the possible ways that it could be. Then on top of that, Allah Azza wa Jal wrote everything. And he didn't just write the things that occurred. He wrote the things that didn't occur, how they would have occurred, right? Allah knows that if you didn't make dua, this affliction would have happened to you. And then he wrote for you to make dua. And thus this affliction would not happen to you. And likewise, Allah Azza wa Jal, he allows everything that happens. And so does it escape his qadr? No, because he is the one who allowed it and made it okay to continue. And then lastly, the Allah Azza wa Jal created everything. So no, it does not escape his qadr because he is the one who created. Brother, did you say Rahim means Allah gets angry if you don't ask him? How does this compare to that name of Allah? Naam. So we mentioned that statement that the Abdullah ibn Mubarak, he said that the meaning of Ar-Rahman means the one who, if you ask him, he gives you. And so this is an example of showing the greatness of who Allah is. Allah, because of how great he is, if you ask him, he gives it to you. This is a great quality. This is a great quality. But Ar-Rahim is even more extensive in how much good Allah wants to do for you. So Ar-Rahman is a quality that shows the greatness of Allah, while Ar-Rahim is a quality that shows the greatness of what Allah wants to do for you. How do we know that this quality is so great in what Allah wants to do for you? It's because if you don't ask him, he gets angry. This is the statement of Ibn al-Mubarak. Ar-Rahim is the one who, if you don't ask him, he gets angry. Why does he get angry? Because you turned away from asking him. وَقَالَ رَبُّكُمُ ادْعُونِي أَسْتَجِبْ لَكُمْ. And your Lord said, call upon me, I will respond to you. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يَسْتَكْبِرُونَ عَنْ عِبَادَتِي سَيَدْخُلُونَ جَهَنَّمَ دَاخِرِينَ. Those who are too arrogant to worship me, they will enter the hellfire in a state of lowness and humility. So Allah loves that you ask him. And he wants you to ask him because he wants to give to you. Allah wants to show you mercy, subhanAllah. Nasallallahu rahmatah. We ask Allah for his mercy. Allah wants to show you mercy. He wants to be kind to you, compassionate to you, merciful towards you, generous towards you. And all you have to do is ask. But if you don't ask him, because of how great of the mercy is that he wants to show you, he gets upset with you not asking him. And this is a quality that is representative in the statement Ar-Rahim, because Ar-Rahim is meant to show you the greatness of what Allah wants to do for you. And the only one who would get angry with you not asking him is the one who wants to give to you. And to Allah is the highest example. Think about, and to Allah is the highest example. This is not to compare Allah to his creation. But think about how your parents might get mad if they found out you didn't pay your rent just because you didn't ask, right? Your parents, you had a situation, a hardship came, and you couldn't make rent. And you ended up getting evicted, being homeless, and your parents find out, they say, what happened? You say, I didn't pay rent. They say, why don't you call us? What's wrong with you? Why don't you call? You know we had money to help you out. We could have helped you out. Why didn't you ask? No, in situations like that, you need to ask. And so if you can imagine how the creation of Allah could get angry with you out of their mercy towards you when you didn't ask for it, then like this, you can imagine how Allah would get angry with you and out of his mercy towards you because you didn't ask him. And to Allah is the highest example. Allah's mercy towards us is greater than the mercy of the mother towards her child. And like this, his anger towards us for not asking for that mercy would be greater than the anger of the mother towards her child for not asking for her help. I hope that clarifies it. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم، وسبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.